Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Spooky Chicks and Horror Flicks. We are two best friends that like to recap and dissect our favorite horror films while drinking our favorite beverage. I'm Emma, as always joined by Miss Allison.
Hello, I'm Allie.
Allie, what the hell have you been up to? Or should I say,
what we've been up to?
what have we been up to?
We had a really exciting weekend. We went to Texas Frightmare, and it was such a fantastic weekend. We got to meet a lot of people and vendors and just experience a bunch.
Yeah, I feel like they know what they were doing. They've been doing this for years, and apparently it's just been growing and getting bigger and bigger. I think this year it was in the Irving Convention Center, which was so much fun. We got to attend also like a lot of panels. We got to go to a panel with Evil Dead and the Evil Dead franchise, including Bruce Campbell. Mm-hmm. We also got to go to another panel that was kind of like just up and coming people in horror, like Alicia Weir, Melissa Barrera, Cole Sprouse, Kevin Durand. It was just like so amazing, and we had such a fantastic time.
I can't wait to go back next year, honestly.
Allie was particularly excited to go to Buc-ee's.
I went to Buc-ee's, you fuckers. It was so exciting. It was about 30 minutes away, but I made it happen.
There you go. Allie, you want to tell everybody what we are reviewing today?
Fuck yeah, I do. Because you guys, this is a special one. This is one of my formative films. Final Destination of 2000. And I think if you're a millennial, that kind of like sparked a generation of films that kind of really stick with us mentally. It's a great film. And we got to see Devon Sawa at Texas Frightmare.
He had an amazing panel, you guys. And he talked about everything from Casper. Can I keep you?
Can I keep you?
He talked about everything from Casper to his thoughts on like the new Final Destination bloodlines and maybe what the future could hold for the franchise. He gave a lot of like behind the scenes stuff too. So we'll probably mention like a few things sprinkled throughout the podcast, but it was just so amazing. It was so cool.
It was so great to see him. And side note, he's super hot.
Yeah, he still looks good.
He looked good.
And he's a very nice fellow.
Yes. That too. Sorry. Funny, I watched this literally before we got on the plane the other day.
I almost watched it on the plane, which like honestly I would have done if it was just me, but I was a little bit freaked out because I was on a very tiny seat on a Frontier airline with Allie, and yeah, I just feel like people would have judged me because they 100% would see what I was watching.
But Devin also said he's seen people watch it on a plane.
Oh, he made like a really funny comment. Someone said like, oh, are you like scared of flying at all from everything you experience? And he's like, well, I do feel like it would be really fucked up if that's the way that I die one day. Like I do this whole like movie that is iconic about a plane crash and then die in a plane crash. He's like, so I think I'm safe.
It's like almost too ironic. So he's like, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of love that actually. Good for him.
But if you haven't seen the original Final Destination, please go watch it because it's one of my favorite films. But this is your spoiler warning. We're going to go through the entire film, and if you don't want us to ruin it for you, go watch it. But if you're ready to go on this plane ride with us, come along.
So after getting a premonition about a plane crash on his school trip, Alex, a student, saves a few of his classmates. However, their situation gets complicated when death starts chasing them. I do feel like this kind of gets the entire film.
Yeah.
Like more or less.
Yeah, I like it.
This premiered on March 17th, 2000, earning a little over $10 million on its opening weekend across US and Canada. And Final Destination placed number 3 in the United States box office behind Erin Brockovich and the science fiction film Mission to Mars.
Erin Brockovich is one of my favorite films. So.
Same.
Cool.
Thank you for saying that,
yes,
actually.
Cool.
One other thing I want to bring up is that Devon Sawa did mention during his panel that if this film would have come out a year later, there's no way that it would have happened because obviously all of the horrible events that happened on September 11th. It is just crazy that this came out just 1 year beforehand. It's just kind of funky.
It's extremely weird.
Yeah.
But we're grateful that we have this experience with this film and then it continued to grow in the franchise.
Absolutely. It really like set the stage for a new type of horror.
Yeah.
I feel like. Another thing that really was impactful about this film, and actually this was something that director James Wong said, is he said that he wanted to do this film for planes and air travel, what Jaws did for sharks and swimming, which I think he absolutely achieved.
100%. And you can, it's, I don't know if it's just our generation, but like I still think about it when I'm on a plane.
I think about it constantly. I'm like constantly thinking about how in hotels with that like clothesline thing, like I'm like, I better not go in the bathroom if no one else is in this room with me because I might get freaking hung, you know, or just pour in a glass of vodka and now all of a sudden I'm getting stabbed with a knife. You just never know what might happen.
Exactly. Death's plan.
This film got a 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb, which I'm going to say I think is pretty accurate for this film.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Rotten Tomatoes says the tomato meter is 40%, which I think is low.
That is pretty low.
And then the popcorn meter is 68%. So that's kind of on par with IMDb. And that's a pretty decent spread. But
yeah,
this is like such a formative film that I like want to stab tomato meter.
I would be really curious a year from now, once the new Final Destination Bloodlines, if that has increased the popularity of the first film and all the subsequent films in the franchise. That would be cool to like kind of analyze that data.
Isn't that interesting that this is 25 years old?
I mean, that just tells you that this film really does like stand the test of time.
It does.
Yeah. This film was directed by James Wong. It was his film directorial debut.
I'm just going to shout this out. I'm not like playing favorites, but he also did my favorite Final Destination, which is number 3.
Ooh, I think I am a number 2 girl.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That one scarred me a little too much.
I like 2 and 3, but I will just, there's something I can't get out of my head about the tanning bed scene. It will always stay with me. And Roller Coaster, like the song.
Yeah.
Your mom used to sing that song. And
Ooh.
I think it was before she had ever seen that movie. And she gave me a newfound love for it. Thank you. Thank you, Mom.
I don't know if she's even seen it. So
Exactly. So she's like innocently singing it. And I'm like, yeah, roller coaster of love.
And meanwhile, we're freaking out.
Yeah. I'm like, ha, 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 ha. Do you know what you're singing?
Like, why do people bring Slurpees into a tanning bedroom?
Yeah. This film was also co-written by not only James Wong, but also Glenn Morgan. And I have sort of a cute story about a man named Jeffrey Reddick, who was the kind of like the original writer of the screenplay and the origination of this entire story. So at just 14 years old, Jeffrey Reddick sent New Line Cinema a bold prequel idea for A Nightmare on Elm Street. It got rejected, but he did not back down, and instead he wrote them back again. And his gutsy move sparked a 5-year relationship with the studio and the studio head, Mr. Bob Shea. Years later, that same connection came totally full circle when New Line Cinema gave him the chance to turn his like X-Files inspired spec script, which was originally called Flight 180, into what would become Final Destination. And this all started with a cool, fearless kid who refused to take no for an answer, which I absolutely love.
Can I mention something about that it was originally called Flight 180? I think it's so brilliant that they changed it to Final Destination.
It's so much more than just Flight 180. Obviously, I think that name still could have hit, especially for that film. But you're right. Like all that has come for this franchise. Final Destination is absolutely the right call.
100%. They created that franchise. Like they created a brand.
It's almost like it reminds me of that. Was it a show on like Spike TV or whatever? It's called like 1,000 Ways to Die.
Was that a thing?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Absolutely. So this is like the movie version, basically.
Cool. I'm going to go back and watch that.
There you go. For our top billed cast, we're going to start off with who have we been talking about this entire time? Mr. Devon Sawa, and he plays Alex Browning.
This man, like I said already, he's super hot, but he also sparked something in me when I don't know how old we were, but Casper.
So you mean a sexual awakening?
Yeah, I was going to say that, but then is that weird?
I'm going to say it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I need a love like that. I need to move to a haunted mansion and meet a ghost who is like my little teenage boy counterpart.
But he's also in Idle Hands. He's in the Chucky series.
Now and Then.
Now and Then.
He's also most recently in Hard Eyes as well.
Yes.
Which he freaking killed it in that. Allie and I saw that for like a little Galentine's night, and that was really good.
It was cute.
Yeah.
We also have Allie Larder, who plays Clear Rivers. What a name.
I know, I keep wanting to say Claire.
Me too.
But if you say it fast enough, it could be Claire.
I think some people do call her Claire in the movie.
Oh, most likely. Like, that's so hard to like differentiate.
But that's a bitchin' name. And Legally Blonde is one of my most comforting movies. And she obviously is in that. She's also in Varsity Blues, most notably. So she's an icon.
Yeah, she's doing great things. Then we have Kerr Smith, who plays Carter Horton, and he's sort of the bad boy asshole jock in this film.
And he's in the newer My Bloody Valentine, and love you, Kerr, but not this Bloody Valentine.
Then Kristen Cloak comes in, and she plays Valerie Luton, who is one of the teachers. And apparently she's also in a newer version of Black Christmas, dated 2006. Interesting.
Yep.
And then RIP to an absolute legend, Mr. Tony Todd, who plays William John Bloodworth, and he is a coroner, undertaker, and mortician. We love him so much. He's obviously also the legendary Candyman.
He's loved and missed.
Loved and missed literally so much.
If you're a fan of the franchise and you have seen the newest one, some of his final words in the movie are improv, and it's like he's speaking from his own body, like his own truth. Just daggers in my heart. We love you, Tony Todd.
I think it's so awesome when films can honor like a late actor, and when we see a film have like success. It just feels like such a sweet moment. I'm thinking about even like Heather O'Rourke in Poltergeist 3, like she passed before the film wrapped. And I still think like it was great to see her in that film. And my dad told me that when it came out, it was met with a lot of support because people wanted to see it in support of Heather O'Rourke and her family. So anyways, I just wanted to make a little note there. RIP Tony Todd, we love you. Let's dedicate our cheers to this episode to Tony Todd. Yes. Allie, what are you drinking?
My thirst for Tony Todd.
Okay. Or do you mean Devon Sawa?
Ooh, I mean both. Water for my big dumb cup and White Claw, obviously. What are you doing?
I'm being a crazy girl, you guys, and she's got a twisted tea. But I'm trying a new flavor today, and I've got a pineapple because we're getting into summertime.
Ew.
No, whoa.
Oh, okay, sorry. Cheers to Tony Todd.
Cheers to Tony frickin' Todd. Our film opens in the night during a storm. It's sort of like an interesting cinematography, I guess you could say. And we see the inside of a bedroom. And there's a bit of like symbolic imagery that's sort of setting up this entire Final Destination film. We have a close-up of a fan that's on with like all of its blades. It's like kind of gnarly.
We see the fan a lot in this movie.
We do see it a lot. Then the fan like opens up some pages of a book, and this book is like all about death. And it's not just death like in the modern sense, it's like medieval and like old timey. Did you catch what like the book was?
I didn't, but like this sounds like something that would happen in my bedroom.
You're like, I have a medieval book about death.
Yeah. And a fan.
And a fan. She does.
I love fans.
And this is where we meet 17-year-old Alex Browning. And he is a high schooler preparing for a class trip to Paris. And as Alex packs, he comments on the importance of not taking off his old luggage tag. He's like telling his mom, he's like, no, like, I don't want to take this off. Like, this is like a superstition. And it kind of ensures a safe trip, apparently.
I now do this because of this movie.
I think I always rip mine off.
Oh, I think I did this last week.
I get freaked out that if I don't rip it off, someone's going to read the wrong one, and then my freaking bag's going to freaking Jamaica.
Jamaica would be fun.
I've never even been in Jamaica.
I have. We should go.
We should go. Also, while he packs, his mom and dad are coming in. They're talking to him and everything, and his dad tells him to, quote unquote, live it up because you've got your whole life ahead of you.
And he looks shook as fuck, and I don't know why he had that reaction. So he must be starting to get his inklings.
I was just going to say, I feel like he's starting to feel his like spidey senses are going. So later on, while Alex is sleeping, weird things kind of start moving around his room slightly as he dreams, just things sort of like papers moving. And it's very like ominous and feels very spiritual. And as the viewer, we see his clock says 1 a.m., but then we see it flicker to say 180, which is a number that's going to become very ominously significant in just a second here.
We also hear a voice. Did you catch this?
No.
There's a voice that says, Alex, Alex, twice while he's like sleeping. Yeah.
My goodness.
I don't know what that was about, but that happened.
Something that's funny about the cast of not only Alex, but the kids, these high schoolers, is that they were originally in the script written by Jeffrey Reddick. They were supposed to be just random adults, but New Line wanted them to be teenagers after the success of Scream, which honestly kind of makes sense.
I get it.
I can understand.
Get that money, honey.
Next, at the airport, so Alex is now going there and he's meeting his classmates, his teachers, everybody. We're introduced to a few new characters. So we'll kind of break them down real quick. So we've got Todd Wagner, who is essentially his best friend.
Yeah, and Todd's brother is also on this flight. And his parents, both of their parents are both like, hey, Alex, make sure they're safe.
Sad.
Very sad.
For what's to come. We then have Carter Horton, who we mentioned a little bit at the top, is the hot-headed jock.
Why is he such a dick?
Because he's a jock.
Okay. Wait, hey.
No, I'm just saying, very typecast in this time. We then have Clear Rivers, who is sort of an outcast a tiny bit, but she's pretty. But she's like a quiet, artsy outsider, I would say.
She's like the intellectual that has the French book with her because they're going with their French class, and she's just like translating a bunch of stuff for them.
She's like the cute girl in like an indie flick.
But she's also an outsider.
We then have Billy Hitchcock, who's a really goofy, lovable guy. This is played by Sean William Scott, too, which is kind of fun in this film.
I don't know about you, but I think he's arguably, like, he's my favorite in this film.
He's fun. He's cute. He adds a good, like, comedic element, I think, in certain scenes, too.
He does, and he's very different than Stifler.
Yes. Oh, yeah. The confidence is big. Yeah. Then we are also finally introduced to Miss Luton, and she's their teacher. She's a little bit strict, but she's also younger. So I feel like there is this sense of like she's got to be a little bit strict because she's also kind of proving her confidence and like dominance like over the teenagers.
I know.
Sorry.
I say children too. I don't know why.
While everything is happening and after we're introduced to these new faces in the film, we have some ominous signs that are still building some more tension. So even throughout the airport, Alex runs into this really weird man who has a religious pamphlet and it's saying death is not the end. And the flight status board is also malfunctioning. And once he comes up and gets his boarding pass from the gate agent, they find out that his departure time is the same as his birthday.
I don't think this like means anything in the film though.
No, it's just something that they call out where, I don't know about you, Alice, but if I found out it was on my birthday, I would actually be kind of stoked.
So would I.
Like I'd look at it as like a good omen.
Same.
Yesterday, while Ali and I were leaving Texas, we went to a TGI Fridays after our flight was delayed, and we started hearing My Chemical Romance come over the speakers, and that's when we knew we were going to be okay.
Yeah.
We were like, that is a good omen.
We were not okay, but then we were okay.
But then they played I'm Not Okay,
yeah.
So it was like kind of perfect.
Exactly.
Clear, the girl, Clear, she also drops her book during this moment, and Alex picks it up and hands it to her. And when he hands it back to her, it's on a page about Princess Diana's car crash. Then Alex looks out towards the plane. He can see it through the big windows that are in every airport. And you can tell that he's really anxious. They're all getting ready to board, and he's just not feeling the excitement. And him and his friend Todd, they decide to take a shit before the flight because Todd is saying some stuff to him about how the bathrooms are terrible on planes, which is right. And he's like, we don't want to be taking a shit when we've got these beautiful girls, their classmates that they're trying to like impress, what have you. And so they go into the bathroom together. They're both side by side in a stall, and they hear John Denver playing, which Alex finds strange because he died in a plane crash.
Why the fuck would you play that in an airport?
I don't know, Alice, but we should also ask the DFW airport who played it yesterday when we were leaving.
Quite literally, And then I started singing it.
And then she was freaking me out.
Sorry.
But it's okay. We're here. We are on the ground to tell the story. So no final destination for us just yet.
For now. Yeah.
Something kind of funny I wanted to mention too is that the inspiration for this scene, so Glenn Morgan, who wrote it, he said that he was in the Vancouver airport waiting for a flight when John Denver came over the loudspeaker. And he said he remembers saying to himself, hey, he just died in a plane crash. That's a little weird. So he wrote the version of that experience into the script, which I thought was really cool.
As all of our teens are boarding the flight, everybody's like lighthearted and really excited about going to Paris. And
like as you should be, right? I mean, most people would be really stoked.
I'd be very stoked.
Me and Allie would be 3 glasses of wine deep and stoked to go on this plane ride.
We would have had Chili's at JFK.
We absolutely would have.
And several glasses of wine. It would have been amazing.
Yep.
As they're getting sat and everything, Alex is noticing some damage on the entrance door, which freaks me out because every time I get onto a plane, I like kiss the door. I don't kiss it with my mouth. I put my hand on the...
Yeah, Allie and I have a superstition. I've done it separately and then I found out Allie did it. So now we do it together on every flight we're on where we like kiss our hand and then kiss the door as you're like entering.
Exactly. And Todd's brother George actually notices babies are on board and differently abled people are on board. And he's like, it'd take a fucked up God to take this plane down. Whoa.
Scary.
Like, why even say that? But...
if that, whatever makes you feel better about the flight, I guess, right?
It did not work in his favor.
No, it didn't.
As they're getting settled on the plane, we can see that Alex is definitely stressed out. And he turns on that gross-ass air vent, which is too relatable. Like, I use that all the time.
I do that as well.
So do I, but like, isn't that, I don't know, kind of gross?
I try not to think about it.
Okay, cool. And his friend Todd is like trying to sit with these 2 hot girls, but the 2 hot girls are like, can we sit with each other? And it's kind of
they're like asking if Alex can switch one of them seats, right? So that they can like sit together.
And Todd is like mouthing no, bro. Like, no, like,
because he wants to sit next to one of
100%.
them.
And Alex says, okay, sure, fine, whatever. So they switch seats. And they shoot to Billy, who's eating a tub of Whoppers. I don't know if you saw that, but
I don't remember that, but I love that.
My mom loves Whoppers, and I was like, oh shit. And this is a scene where you can kind of see where everybody is sitting on the plane,
which is going to come into play later.
Yes.
So once like officially seated, Alex experiences a very visceral premonition. In the moment in the film, though, we think it's actually like happening. And we see right when the plane takes off, there is a ton of turbulence. Luggage bins are bursting open, like luggage is going flying, hitting people in the head. Some parts of the plane are being broken off and people are being literally sucked into the atmosphere and dying. We also see that the plane eventually explodes midair, killing everybody in a super fiery explosion.
Including Devon Sawa.
Then all of a sudden, he wakes with a jolt, and it's just a vision. He's back a few minutes beforehand where he's sitting on the plane. It hasn't left yet. This plane explosion scene was created inside a very large soundstage. They propped up the set on a 3-ton hydraulic gimbal that was operated automatically. And it could be shifted to create a pitching back and forth, side to side, realistically conveying the horror of an airborne engine failure, which is terrifying. But you can kind of think of this as like if you've ever been on Star Tours at Disneyland. Devon Sawa has been quoted saying that the real screams of the cast inside the gimbal made it appear like way more real. And James Wong also said, you walk into the studio and there's this huge gimbal with a plane on top and you think, what have I done? I was afraid that we were going to have 40 extras vomiting.
So maybe Alex's sweat was real.
It might have. Devon Sawa did say in the panel that we were just at, he said, because I think someone asked him like, oh, was it like really cool filming the plane sequence? I think he said like,
no,
yes at first, but not after you're doing it for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like it was not a fun time. So
he said,
just imagine that.
He said everybody was like nauseous.
Yeah. Ooh, scary. Then back to the film, Alex obviously panics after he had this crazy premonition and he's shouting to everyone. He's freaking the fuck out. He's like, this plane is going to explode. Like we need to get everybody off the I wanted to say off the ship, off the plane. Like they need to get everybody off board because this plane is like going down. And everyone is like, what the fuck? Chill the fuck out. You're going to be fine. Everything is okay. Like we haven't even left yet. You know, no one's like taking him seriously.
Okay, so question for you is what would you do if somebody jumped up and was like, the plane's going down?
Okay, so I've actually thought about this a lot. Like, I feel like I'm pretty in tune with people's energy, including like my own emotions. I'm like an empath a little bit. And I think if someone was freaking out that much and said that they like saw a vision, I just wouldn't be comfortable staying on the plane still. I'm not saying that the plane's going to go down, but I would not feel good about my decision if I were to stay. So I may be like one of the people that gets off. I'm not going to lie.
I probably would too. It's just reminding me of that one viral video of that girl. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. But shit, if I saw that, I'd be like, okay,
No.
Yep, she's right. I'm getting off.
For sure. Maybe she's the real life like Final Destination.
Hey, yeah. We don't really know the full story on that one.
We also don't know where she is anymore. So
Hey. Then a scuffle kind of breaks out between Carter and a couple other people, and this leads to several people being ejected from the plane, including Alex. And this is also Carter with his girlfriend, Terry.
I'm not sure why Carter has so much beef with Alex.
We don't know if there's like something that they just have had previously, but he's probably just pissed that Alex is disrupting his like wonderful Paris experience with his girlfriend, is what I'm assuming.
Fair enough.
Todd also gets off the plane because, you know, he wants to go check on Alex, but he does leave his brother on the plane.
Well, George, Todd's brother, says stay or go with Alex. He needs you.
Yeah, he's like, go check on him.
Yeah.
Miss Luton also gets off the plane with the other teacher, but the other teacher ends up actually getting back on board because Miss Luton says, oh, it's fine. You're the one that knows French like the most, like you should stay. Billy also got off the plane. He had returned to go and retrieve his book. So basically, he wasn't even on like during the scuffle. He had gotten off temporarily to get his book, but then became part of this group that got ejected.
Sidebar, Billy doesn't seem like a reader. So.
No, he doesn't. I'm like, what's your book on? Hot dogs?
Yeah. Hey.
I would love to read that, actually.
I love hot dogs.
And Clear gets off and she voluntarily leaves after you can just tell that she's like she's basically me in this situation, like what I just said. She's like, fuck no, I believe Alex, like I'm getting off this plane, which good for her.
Do you think I would be like a Clear or I'd be like a asleep at this point?
I could really go either way.
That's completely fair.
It depends on a lot of things. Like how much White Claw have you had? What time of day is it? You know, it really depends.
I agree with you.
Moments later, as everyone is talking about the situation back in the terminal and obviously pissed off that a lot of them are missing the flight, they're all arguing and Billy stares out the window. They see Flight 180 explode just as Alex foresaw it. And everyone is clearly freaking the fuck out at this.
Duh.
Of course you would, right? And in the aftermath, the survivors are suddenly interrogated by FBI agents named Shrek and Ween.
Okay. I have two comments on that.
Yes, tell me.
Shrek
I know. I love it.
and Wiener.
Alex is immediately treated with some suspicion by the entire group. But I mean, everyone is rightfully questioning him because like, how could he have known what was about to happen? People are just very like confused in this whole moment.
But I would believe him. So
I mean, I would too. And within all of this, the agents question each and every one of the survivors. And starting with Alex, they're like asking if he took any drugs. They're asking Miss Luton, you know, certain questions. Clear, Todd. They're just like, why did you guys get off the plane? What made this all happen?
and these teenagers / adults are traumatized. What is the statute of limitations of like, how soon can you question these people? They need to chill. They need to decompress.
I think technically by law, they're like not supposed to question you if you're under 18 without like your parental consent.
I mean, I think they're seniors, so like they might be 18.
They might be, yeah. Then everyone's parents show up. They're all coming to get them and comfort them and just obviously can't believe what just happened, but are happy that they survived. And this is a sad moment because everyone has people show up for them except for Clear. And we don't really get a lot of information. I mean, we do a little bit later, but yeah, it's kind of sad. Alex's parents are nice enough to drop her off at home, but she doesn't seem to have anybody to come back to, which is really sad. And they drop her off like in the pouring rain for obviously dramatic effect.
What I couldn't understand is like they dropped her off in the pouring rain, not even at her house, but like down the road from her house or whatever. Like, why not just continue?
Take her the one step further.
Seriously.
Who knows?
She just got traumatized.
Yep. Back at home that night, once Alex is home, he's definitely grappling with the guilt and the sadness as him and his parents are watching the plane crash on the news, which is kind of weird.
Why would you do that?
It's very strange. It's very strange. But he does hear a little bit more details, including that it is believed that there are no survivors. And you can tell that this like really fucks him up.
And it's kind of interesting to me that at least his dad is sitting next to him in the living room. He's asleep and he's just like, oh, okay, I'm just going to sleep right now.
I think both the parents have fallen asleep.
Yeah. Meanwhile, your son has just been through something extremely unique and fucked up. And then we see lightning a lot in this movie. But while he's watching the news by himself with his sleeping parents, we see a lot of lightning strike outside of his home's window. And this is just like an ominous sign of danger of what's to come.
Yeah. So like, scary.
Fuck that shit.
And now we are 39 days after this incident. Alex and the students from his high school are celebrating a memorial that has been built in the honor of all of the people that died in the plane crash that went to their high school.
And isn't it kind of weird that almost 40 days later, they're just now doing this?
I mean, yes, but also no, because that statue be kind of intense.
Okay.
Like, it's like a huge memorial statue. Like, I'm sure it takes some time to, like, build and get everybody's name carved in it and stuff.
Can't you do, like, a ceremony and then just, like, do the statue later?
These are all great questions.
I think they said that it's because there were 39 people from the school that perished.
You're so right. Actually, you just saying that, I absolutely remember that. They were like 39 days ago, 39 of our students, blah, blah, blah. That's a good catch. Good catch.
Timing.
Good timing. And while all the students are there, including Alex and Carter, Terry, everybody that survived, Alex gets into yet another little tiff with Carter. And Carter is basically saying, like, you know, you don't get to own me. You don't get to think that you saved my life from this plane. And he's telling him, like, I'm never going to die.
Also, what a weird thing to say.
So strange. And then Billy comes up to him and has a weird story. And he's like, you know, I was at the DMV and I was getting my license. And the guy at the DMV said that I'm going to die young. And he's like, is that true, Alex? Like, thinking that Alex is like a psychic.
Which is also weird.
Very strange. He's like just trying to get like answers out of him.
He also like asks like if I ask so-and-so out, like, will they say yes?
I kind of love it. A little bit.
That's what
he's like, shit, let me get as much out of you as I like possibly
100%.
can. He's like, where are the answers here?
Honestly, Alex should start charging.
He should. He absolutely should.
And what's kind of sad is that everybody's kind of blaming Alex. And
not like outright, but it's almost like they're just looking at him because there's really no other way to explain anything. Like, right. I kind of get it.
I mean, I don't know how I would react, but Todd and George's parents are just like giving Alex the side eye the entire time because now George is dead, obviously, on the plane. And Mrs. Luton is like, stay away from me, Alex. You scare the fuck out of me.
Then Todd comes up to Alex, and you can tell that it's a little awkward, as if like Todd has not been with Alex for a while, and he's kind of trying to comfort him a little bit. But you can tell that Todd is trying to keep his distance still because his family obviously suspects Alex of some sort of like wrongdoing, and it's just sad because they kind of exchange this moment of like, I miss you, man. But he's like, when this all blows over, like we'll hang out. Basically, is like what he says.
What a weird exchange.
Very weird.
Like, especially if you're like best friends. Like, if this happened to us, I would be sleeping in your bed.
I'd be like, I'm sorry, mom and dad, but that's still my freaking best friend.
Yeah.
And like, whatever you think is obviously wrong. Like, they did not do any of this on purpose. You didn't do it. You didn't do this, Allie.
Did I though?
Maybe.
Question mark?
She does love John Denver.
I do love John Denver. And Clear also comes up to him and thanks Alex for saving her life and brings him a white rose while everybody else has red roses at this funeral or memorial service.
You know what? I think I did notice the difference in color, and I thought that was interesting.
So she gives him the white rose, which white roses symbolize new beginnings. Yeah.
Okay, cute.
Or I'm reading way too much into this.
No, I like it. I mean, it's obviously symbolic, so yeah. While Alex is watching Todd say some words at the memorial ceremony, he gets a weird feeling.
Poor Todd. If my brother had just died, I don't know if I could even speak.
He seems oddly positive.
Yeah.
Throughout this entire thing.
Which makes it harder.
That's a small thing that I did clock, but I didn't mention.
And in his speech, he says, they say that death can arrive this afternoon. And I'm like, oh no.
Jesus Christ.
Oh no.
Yikes. Switching gears, later that night, we see Alex, he's back home, and he's become completely obsessed with planes, explosions, crashes, statistics, etc. He's got books laying everywhere, articles, everything. It's very clear that he's trying to make as much sense as possible of this plane crash premonition that he had.
This is like me with the Titan submersible.
Did you see the newest?
I did.
Yeah, that's sad. I'm going to have you all look it up, but
yeah, if you want to, go look for yourselves.
It is pretty sad.
Yep.
And as he looks around his room, he decides to pull out a fucking trusty old Penthouse magazine. He's like, I'm going to try to get my mind off this crazy shit for a second. Look at some boobies.
He also has a fucking airplane model dangling from something like his lamp or something. Take that down, bro.
He's crazy.
I know.
He's crazy. Then he gets over the magazine very quickly because obviously he still can't stop thinking about the plane crash. And he throws it towards his van because a fucking owl comes up to his window and scares the shit out of him. Hello?
Lollipops?
How many licks?
Exactly.
So when he throws it at the fan, it shreds into a bajillion pieces, which I don't know if that actually happens with just regular house fans, but very dramatic for the film. And a specific piece of the magazine lands on his leg, and it says Todd's name very clearly. Then in Todd's bathroom, so now we're with Todd in his home, a series of seemingly unrelated events lead to a bigger buildup of something happening.
So many things happen that are just leading us to his impending doom. Just he cuts himself shaving, he's clipping his nose hairs with scissors, John Denver comes on, but ultimately
some water leaks from a toilet valve. And within that leak, he ends up slipping and falling into the tub. And in the tub, there's soap or another slippery substance on the floor. When he slips and falls into the tub, his neck lands on a clothes wire. Of those retractable ones. This is a thing. This is very much a thing. And he becomes entangled in the clothesline and he cannot get himself upright because the bath is slippery and he's not able to reach anything to kind of grasp his balance. It's very sad, but because he's unable to escape, he does die by strangulation.
This, I think about this a lot because I'm a weeble wobble. I wobble a lot.
Yeah, you scare me.
I know. I fall a lot. So this death really took me out.
Yeah.
It takes me out every time. Not in
that way.
Not in that way. And then as soon as we see that unfortunate death, the whatever substance he slipped on and whatever is going back into the tub.
Yeah, it's very weird, suggesting this supernatural involvement because the water is drying up on the floor and all of these signs are sort of going away that we have seen as the viewer, and it's making it look like Alex just performed a suicide.
I think that's very unique to this film, that supernatural element.
Absolutely. It's not just a random number of mistakes that have happened. It's or random things that have happened. It's no, these things are kind of intentionally working together to kill you.
Totally. That's the plan.
Alex, because, he saw Todd's name on his leg in the magazine, he rushes to Todd's house, but he's there a little bit too late. And Todd's parents are heartbroken and they are blaming Alex and just having a very emotional time, understandably, as the police are there and the ambulance is there getting Todd's body. And then the FBI sees Alex at the scene, and this just doesn't look good for him at all. Clear is also at the crime scene, and she's kind of off to the side hiding a little bit, and she tries to warn Alex to go home. Like, dude, like, don't get involved. They're going to think even worse about you.
Okay, so maybe the FBI should be like, Clear, why the fuck you here?
It's a great question.
You know?
Yeah.
Also, why are we 18-year-olds?
That's also a great question.
And these FBI agents just want to like fuck with Alex.
They want to fuck some shit up.
Yeah.
Alex, convinced Todd did not kill himself, starts naturally searching for answers. And he's drawn to Clear and kind of wants to start chatting with her a little bit about like her thoughts on everything. And so he goes and visits her at her house. He questions like why she was at Todd's house the night prior when the accident happened and everything. And
that is my question too, because she also has said to Alex, like, I felt the same thing you did.
Clear is a witch.
There's nothing wrong with
Nothing wrong with that. And she explains that she thinks that the FBI just still doesn't know what happened, because why would they still be questioning some teenagers if they knew what happened on the plane crash?
And a leaf falls. And she's like, look at that. It's almost autumn. And Alex is like, dude, it's June. But I agree with Clear.
We're like, it's always almost autumn over here.
Yeah, We're just waiting for it.
I love it.
This scene also gives me sexual tension.
Oh yeah, this is where it is born for these two.
Born.
And just get ready, because I have some comments a little bit later about her calling him baby, but we'll get there. Then Clear admits that she left the plane because she had a gut instinct after seeing Alex panic. And she says, I didn't see what you saw necessarily, but I felt it. And Alex tells her that he feels it all around us. And he says, what if Todd was just the first of us? They randomly decide that they're going to get some more answers by paying Todd a visit, Todd as in his dead body. And they break into a funeral home and they try to get some answers.
Well, and when they actually successfully break into the funeral home, like Clear is like, I love doing things that feel dangerous.
Also, can we talk about like how the fuck did she know to go through the stained glass ceiling? Like, how did she know that was like a door/window into the funeral home? Like, has she done this before?
Also, should we be friends with her? If she was,
I don't know about that.
Cool.
They literally lowered themselves into a coffin when they got in.
Yeah, but that's
I don't know if I'm ready for that just yet.
Oh, okay.
The producer just said that Clear is the kind of girl that shoplifts at Claire's. And
that's like,
I don't think that could be any more real.
That's kind of like me, though.
Did you shoplift at Claire's?
Probably.
Oh my God.
But when they get into the funeral home or like the mortician's lounge, I'm not sure what the
morgue.
The morgue. The mortician's lounge. Wow.
Why does that sound like a cool bar name? Like, I want to go to the mortician's lounge.
It really does sound like an amazing place to go.
Oh my goodness.
But when they get there, they're like, is that Todd? Is that him? And I'm like, dude, it's clearly him. How are you not clocking that?
Yeah, it's just him, but dead.
And
well, then out of the shadows comes Mr. William Bloodworth,
aka
Tony Todd, baby. And he's a very cryptic mortician. And as they are all looking at Todd's body, it moves suddenly, kind of freaking Alex and Clear out. But William is like, bruh, everything's all good. It's just the body sometimes has like some nerve reactions after they die. And then he starts to explain, he's like, all deaths are part of a sadistic design. Alex is asking him some questions, questioning this whole design, and asks if you can cheat death, if you can figure out the design. William says to him, you may have cheated death once, but you can't cheat it forever.
This is one of my favorite scenes because Tony Todd is brilliant as William. And Alex is explaining to William who he is and his circumstances and what he's just gone through. And William is like, bitch, I know who the fuck you are. And you need to figure out how to get away from death's design. But obviously, Clear and Alex are freaked out because they're with a mortician who's just discovered that they broke in. So they're like, cool, we're going to bounce. And as they're leaving, William's like, I'll see you soon.
Kind of love that.
What a vibe.
What a vibe. Then the next day, Alex and Claire talk about Death's design a little bit more and kind of what they heard from William at the funeral home.
What I call it?
The Mortician's Lounge.
I love that. Copyright.
And Alex explains that looking for signs may actually help them with figuring out this like design. And he's kind of saying without saying, like, it might help us kind of predict if someone's impending doom is coming. While he's chatting with her, they're like at a little coffee shop sitting together. He sees a bus driving by in the reflection of the coffee shop window, but it's not actually there in real life.
What would you do if you noticed that and it wasn't actually there?
I would tell you immediately. I'd be like, I just saw a fucking bus in that. But there was no bus there. I'm like, what the hell?
My thought would be like, oh, I'm actually going insane.
But you would tell me, I think.
Yeah, I would tell you.
You'd be like, what the fuck? I just saw a bus behind your head. And I'd be like, what? Because you always are very vague when you describe things. And I'd be like, what do you mean there's a bus behind my head?
Oh, true.
You know what I mean? But then I'd question you. We'd get down to the bottom of it. And then, yeah. Figure out that it was
get to the bottom line.
Something supernatural.
Yeah.
Then Alex questions if Death is not finished because, like, what if it's still kind of their time? And Claire in this situation, she's not like fully believing him. And she's like telling Alex, like, hey, what I think really happened to Todd was I do think he like killed himself.
I can't believe that from Claire. Like this plot.
I know.
Point.
I'm like, this doesn't make sense.
This doesn't make sense.
I agree. I did kind of think that was weird. I'm like, bitch, no, you do believe him.
Out of everyone, because she's seen these visions or like felt these feelings too, she should be the one to just be like, word. They
just needed someone close to him to disagree for a hot minute, I think, in the film. And while Alex and Claire are still talking, a bit of a reunion commences. So we have several other survivors that just are in happenstance in this area and at this coffee shop. So Carter and Terry are driving down the road. And while they're driving, they actually almost run over Billy, who is riding on his bike.
Wait, didn't he just get his license? Like, why is...
I had that question too. And also at the same time, Mrs. Luton is coming out of the coffee shop. So all of this stuff happens, and Carter and Terry, as they're driving by, Carter pulls over and he's like trying to confront Alex. And it's like really weird.
Also, wouldn't you... one of two things. Carter comes up to Mrs. Luton and is like, I'm so sorry you have to move. Like, you're my favorite teacher. Is he low-key hitting on her?
Potentially.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you be... It's extremely suspicious if all of you just happen to be.
Unless it's just a really tiny town where everybody just runs into each other all the time. So that could be a possibility too. But Alex tries to tell the group about his idea, but no one's listening. He's kind of taking advantage of the fact that they're all together. Terry, Carter's girlfriend, she's like super fed up with Carter's behavior and just everything that's like going on. She's like really pissed that Carter's always trying to fight with Alex and just like kind of making every situation worse. And so she's like yelling at him and she starts backing up into the street.
And she's like, I will not let this run my life. This will not run my life moving forward. I'm moving on kind of thing. So she is backing up. But like, why would you back up into a street?
We should ask Regina George in Mean Girls.
Oh, good call.
Yeah.
But no, Katie Heron pushed her, remember?
Oh, yeah, shit. Sorry.
Yeah. And I'm not victim shaming, but maybe don't just like walk into a
Maybe like
street.
Look where you're going if you're like going to walk into a street.
Again, I'm a weeble wobble, so I probably would have done that too.
Well, and then, what do you know? A bus slams into Terry going at full speed, and this happens mid-sentence as she's talking. And I think this is like one of the film's most shocking moments, if I'm being completely honest. And all the blood just spatters all over the group.
And they close up on Carter, like all of her blood is on him too. Like that's so sad.
Yep.
Although, did he love her?
That's too deep of a question, I think, for this film.
Got it.
We could dive into that later, but... Okay. After Terry's death, Alex then becomes a bit of a recluse, and he is trying to avoid talking to anybody until he like fully understands like what's going on. Like he won't even answer calls from Claire. He like has his parents kind of field these calls from her because he doesn't want to talk to anybody.
Wouldn't you do the same?
I would absolutely become a recluse. I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? I'm just like constantly surrounded by death.
I'd be Terry.
Like very scary.
So
bye-bye. Later, while Alex is watching the news, he learns a little bit more about the crash and finds out that there was like a mechanical malfunction that caused the crash. And the news is actually showing kind of like a graphic and a map of the sequence of each seat that was affected. And it really starts to kind of like, I don't know, it gives him sort of like a light bulb goes off in his head.
But it didn't say like who sat in each seat, right?
Well, I mean, I think they definitely know who is in what seat because they can go off of people's like tickets.
Sure, but the graphic doesn't say it.
No, but I think Alex has like an idea of who is in what seat.
Why would you ever remember that kind of shit?
So I have no idea.
Okay. I was
movie
in
magic, baby.
I was in F-26 yesterday. Hey.
There you go.
Yeah.
This causes Alex to examine the seating chart from the plane a little bit more closely. So he kind of draws up like his own map and he starts sort of plotting like where he thinks like everyone was sitting, including himself. And he realizes that death may be working in the order that the passengers like would have died. Later, Alex then goes and lurks around Miss Luton's house. And what he's trying to do in this scene is he's like trying to warn her that she could potentially be next in death's design. And it's so creepy. He goes about it like the worst way because he's literally lurking around her car being super creepy. So she sees him out of the window and she's like, what the actual fuck? So of course she's scared and she calls the FBI.
I would do the fucking same.
I would as well.
She's packing to leave because she's creeped out by this fucker.
Yeah, she's moving.
Yeah.
She's just done with, she wants to move on from this entire thing.
I also, why does he know where she lives? Why do all these kids know where
I'm just guessing like really small town.
Okay, sure.
Like I feel like if it's a super small town, people probably know where everybody lives.
But like, so Miss Luton has a direct line to the FBI, I guess.
I guess.
And she calls them and they come and like fucking take Alex.
And Alex isn't able to like fully warn her that she's fucking next, which is sad.
I'm also confused about how he quickly deduces like it's like this is death's pattern, but
I think that's like above our pay grade.
That is above our pay grade.
You know?
Moving on. Yep.
Alex also tries to tell the FBI agents that he believes that she's like next. And he's trying to explain like death's design to them. But of course, like nobody's fucking believing them.
I would.
If you were the FBI agent?
I would never be an FBI agent, but yeah, like, yeah.
Then back with Miss Luton, as she's packing to leave town, she puts on John Denver. She puts on an album. I think she says she pulls it out of like a closet or storage or something. And she's like, this was my mom's favorite. And of course, John Denver again. He's like honestly the through line with all of these deaths, I feel like, if I'm being honest.
I'm still uncertain why people don't get more concerned
if they just hear him.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. And so she is trying to prepare some tea. It's kind of funny though, because as she is pouring hot tea into a mug, she freaks out because the mug is a mug that is from the high school that she like worked at. And so she throws the hot water onto the floor. And this is so funny. And this is so something I would do. She basically is like, well, fuck this tea. I'm going to pour some ice cold vodka in here, which causes the mug. What?
You're smarter than this. You wouldn't do this.
I'm just saying I think I would go to vodka. I wouldn't
yes.
pour it in like a cup that just had hot liquid in it if it was like porcelain. You know what I mean? I actually really don't use mugs, to be completely honest, that often.
I have so many mugs and I don't
Me too.
even drink
so
coffee.
many. So lesson learned, guys. Do not pour hot liquid into porcelain and then immediately put something ice cold in it because it will crack. So anyways, she's pouring vodka, ice cold vodka into this mug, causing it to crack. And she starts spilling her vodka with every step that she's taking back towards packing. And she spills it on the little kitchen counter, but she doesn't notice.
How would you not notice that?
Who knows?
Okay.
She's a crazy
movie.
girl. It's a movie. Her house then becomes an absolute death trap.
And it's kind of funny because like there's so many options we have as a viewer. All of the other deaths, we get led to a bunch of elements that could take her out, but a lot of them don't actually kill her. And A plus B equals situation. Like the cold vodka and a hot mug, several other things equals see you on the other side.
Absolutely. One thing she does, for instance, is her computer monitor. She has her mug and she's like trying to grab something behind her computer monitor, and some of the vodka leaks down into it, and that causes an explosion. And then when that explodes, a shard of the computer glass, like from the screen, stabs her in the neck. And you think at this point, okay, she dead, but she's not.
I want Mythbusters to like try this out.
Dude, oh my God. I bet that they've done like some kind of Final Destination episode. I feel like they have.
They must have.
So then she goes into the kitchen because she's like holding her neck, trying to like, I don't know, just get some help or do something. And all of a sudden, she slips on freaking vodka on the floor and she's trying to grab a towel that's hanging on a knife block, by the way. She pulls the towel down, which brings a knife out of it, stabbing her in the fucking chest. And then the vodka triggers a fire. It's just like literally what Ali said, like A plus B equals situation. Like this is absolutely what's happening here.
Let me rephrase. A plus B equals death.
Okay, perfect. Kind of crazy, but I think that the FBI agents, they release Alex at some point because they really don't have much to keep him on. Like they can't prove that he's like doing anything. And he does come back to her house because he's like, dude, I gotta fucking warn her she's gonna die. And he gets there a little bit too late. He sees her and he's trying to help her, but then a fucking chair collapses and pushes the knife deeper into her chest. And then this, oh my God, this entire thing happens where doesn't he take the knife out?
Yes, he's holding the fucking knife. And I'm like,
my God,
bro,
he looks like the killer. It's not good.
Your fingerprints are now all over this, and this is not helping your A plus B equals situation.
Yeah, he's A plus B equals situation. Not death quite yet.
Not yet.
Then Alex fucking gets himself out of there, luckily, right before Miss Lewin's house fucking completely explodes as Mr. Billy just happens to be riding by with his motherfucking bike.
Why are we not suspicious about Billy? He's always there too.
And also, where's his fucking car again?
I know.
So Alex and Billy obviously get the fuck out of there. But after Mrs. Luton's death, the FBI questioned Clear because they can't find Alex. So they're like, Clear, where the fuck is Alex? You obviously know. And we think he's going to come and find you. She doesn't know. She's like, I'm not sure where he is. But then a little bit later, Clear, Carter, and Billy meet up because Clear has asked them to take her to Alex because she knows where he is. And this is so they can all kind of talk together and they can talk about like who's next. So at first, Clear, Carter, and Billy actually meet up at the memorial site at the school. Carter, it's so sad. He actually tries to carve Terry's name into the stone because she obviously has passed too, but it doesn't work.
In my mind, I said, bro, this is kind of disrespectful. Get your own memorial. But if this was me and Kevin, like I would want him to do the same.
I think me and the producer too. I think it's a very emotional response where sometimes you don't make the most like logical decision because you're just acting on like pure emotion, you know? So I feel like we can understand it from an emotional place. So once they are all able to meet up with Alex, they actually drive to this like state beach park place that's very secluded and very dark. They meet up with Alex and they talk about how they should probably take Alex to a cabin in the woods that Clear's family owns. And they're all talking about like Miss Luton's death and just like the whole like death design and everything. And Billy's like, dude, you're fucked. He's like, they found your footprints in her blood and prints on the knife. You are not going to be okay.
I still love Billy though.
He's just trying to warn a friend, you know? And Carter asks if Alex knew that she was next.
Carter literally has an absolute breakdown and goes full throttle, literally. And he drives erratically through train tracks. And
while they're all together.
They're literally all together. He's like, we're all together right now. Let's end it all together.
Well, first he starts just driving erratically on the streets, running lights, and like he's just driving like crazy. But then he parks his car on the tracks because he's like, I'm going to test it. I'm going to test fate.
That scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, very scary. And all of them get out except for Carter.
Well,
until it gets too close, until the train gets too close. And then he realizes he wants to live. And he's like, fuck, get me the fuck out of here. Mm-hmm. And Alex saves him just in time.
Convenient. Like, how does this car have magical powers to lock your seatbelt and not let you? I don't know. But yes.
Death's design, baby.
Yes, death's design. But he does get out.
In this moment, Alex does say during all the commotion, he's like, I kind of saw like a seatbelt rip. So he's like, that's how I knew how to get Carter out, which is kind of interesting because it's almost like somebody's given him these like premonitions to like stop this like death design situation.
Yeah, and so they're all out.
And the train is passing by at this point. So it hasn't hit any of them or anything. Carter got out.
But we see a scene of, what is it, like shrapnel on the train tracks?
Yeah, it's like a huge piece of metal, probably from the car.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Okay. So after the train is passing, we see Billy get decapitated by this flying piece of shrapnel.
It's so gnarly. Oh my God.
It makes me so sad because this is one of my favorite like roles of Sean William Scott. He's kind of lovable in this, and R.I.P.
Yeah, he's like shouting. I can't remember exactly what he says, but it's like he's like shouting at Carter. He's like, Carter, you're next. Like, you're supposed to die. It's you. He's like, this is actually the most emotion that we've seen him have like this entire film. And then just
okay.
Dead.
It was a straight decapitation.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell what that was, that was a metal shrapnel decapitation.
But and then we just see his head just like roll on to like near the train tracks. And
kind of reminds me of Lou's head in Prom Night.
Oh, yeah.
I love a rolling head.
Okay.
And clearly after this crazy experience happens that this group has now witnessed several deaths altogether, Alex starts going a little bit crazy, and he's theorizing that because he saved Carter, he thinks that death might have skipped him and went to the next person in line, which was Billy. Also in this part, did we just hear Clear call Alex baby when trying to calm him down?
We for sure did, and we skipped several steps here.
No, we really, like, I remember the producer and I were just watching this and we were both like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Are they like fully together now? Like, we haven't even seen an on-screen kiss. This is crazy. But anyways, I digress. So they move forward with their plan where Alex is going to like isolate himself in this cabin and he's trying to avoid an accidental death. And this kind of reminds me of like Reversal Home Alone.
I love that. I also want to know why Clear has full access to not only a cabin, but a home. They're like separate. They're like not the same thing.
Maybe she's just got some rich folks who, I mean, she does explain to Alex at one point, right, that her like dad left her and then her dad died. He got shot at a convenience store.
A 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven. And then her mom couldn't take it. And so she like left. But yeah, great question. What's going on with these properties?
Is she paying the mortgage?
I doubt it.
Okay.
Maybe they're just like family owned.
Fair enough. But so basically what you're talking about is like, are you thinking that in this kind of dirty ass cabin, why is it so dirty too?
Lots of cabins are like kind of gross.
This one's like got lots of trash in it. But Alex is sitting there and just like trying to fix anything like with duct tape or...
He's going cuckoo bananas a little bit.
But
this is why I say it's like reverse Home Alone, because it's like he's like booby trapping the house to not kill him.
He's booby trapping himself.
He is. He absolutely is. When he starts talking out loud, he's like talking to death. He's like, I'm going to beat you. Like, it's not going to get me. And like, oh my gosh, he's funny.
Okay, this is super niche. It's giving The Aviator when Leonardo DiCaprio is saying, more milk.
Oh my God, it really is.
Because he's just sitting in a chair sweating with a dirty t-shirt saying, not tetanus today, fucker.
Sorry. Then at Clear's house, so she's at her home. Alex is by himself in this cabin. The FBI are watching her really intently, and they are hoping that Alex is just going to show up or like she's going to go visit him. Either way, they're hoping that she's going to like lead them to Alex in some way. And I love this part because she just comes straight out to them and she's like, hey, I know where Alex is and I will lead you guys to him, but like I want to go with you because it's too dangerous for him to be out there alone. She's like kind of realized like I want to go and get him because not good things are going to happen. And of course, the FBI doesn't oblige and they go alone to go and get Alex. However, while Alex is in the cabin, he realizes that Clear is actually next. And then he leaves and tries to rush to her house, like while the FBI has shown up to try to get him. So there's a little bit of like a cat and mouse chase, I think, at this point.
I think you mean a canoe and mouse.
Oh yeah, I forgot he does get into a boat.
Yeah.
He
Like,
does.
How do you get
So
a fucking,
random.
how do you get a fucking canoe?
The way that Alex like remembers that Clear like might be next is because he remembers at the very beginning of the film there were two gals, Blake and Krista. Alex was actually supposed to switch seats with one of them, but he never moved, and he realized that because of this like design of where everyone was seated and stuff and the order of which people were actually killed on the flight, that Clear is likely next.
I'm not going to lie. The rest of this sequence is a little bit too much for my ADHD, and it was a little too long.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So before Alex reaches Clear, she sees some electrical wires have come loose and kind of gone haywire in her yard, which is obviously very scary. And her dog, her poor little dog, is chained up outside, and her dog's in danger of getting hurt. And so she naturally goes down after him.
Question for you. Do you think between deaths and whatnot, do you think they have fucked?
I don't think so.
No.
I just don't feel like, because like if we're really going to get technical on this, he couldn't even concentrate on the Penthouse magazine.
That's true.
I don't think he could really concentrate on her boobies.
Yeah.
You know?
True. Oh, he did not watch Varsity Blues.
We tell him, pop that on, go take her to a little room before you guys both knock on death's door.
Exactly.
You know, get it in while you can, literally.
Literally.
And at the same time, Clear is trying to save her dog. Alex is running from the police, trying to get at her, like we mentioned. Back with Clear, the clothes hanger also falls down. It's like this weird, crazy clothes hanger that almost looks like a satellite. I literally asked the producer if it was a satellite, and he's like, no, that's a gnarly clothes hanger. I've just never seen that in my life.
I haven't either.
But it falls down kind of near where she's trying to get her dog, and it almost impales her. But what it does instead is it punctures her pool.
Her above ground pool.
Her above ground pool.
Even though she has two properties and a lake and a canoe, she has an above ground pool. No shade. No shade.
Hey, we're not going to yuck someone's yum.
Yeah.
You know? Barely making it before getting electrocuted, because mind you, all of these wires are still going haywire. She then tries to climb a fucking trellis.
Wait.
And you guys know we love a trellis.
Oh my God. I was just going to say, I love a trellis.
She does make it back into her room before a bunch of small electrical explosions and little fires happen at the same time. So she makes her way back downstairs. She's trying to, I think, just get out of her house, like in general. And so she gets into her car in the garage and tries to like back out of the garage. But her car stops working. Something happened. I feel like it gets like electrocuted or something, and it stops her car from being able to turn back on. And so she's stuck. She's trapped.
It's literally a clusterfuck of like a lot of things in this scene.
A lot of stuff. She's trapped as these like electrical wires are sparking nearby, and then a fucking gas leak ignites, because like, why the fuck not? And Alex makes his way to her. I also question like how close her home and this cabin are, because he like definitely came to her by foot.
For sure. I think it's like across the lake.
I have some questions on logistics.
Same here.
Alex risks his life to save her, and he ends up grabbing the wire and being blown back. And he kind of does this in a heroic, like, I got to do this, otherwise it's going to get you.
Yeah. But before he like survives, we all thought he was going to die. And he says, I'll always be with you. This means so many different things based on a lot of things we know. It also reminds me of Can I Keep You?
That's literally what I was just going to say.
But anyways, he lives. Yay.
He lives. He lives.
And now the FBI is being nice to him. And why wouldn't you just believe this 18-year-old beforehand?
They just had to be face to face with death. And for a moment, it seems like death has been beaten.
Yay.
This scene was still too long for Allie.
It was way too long for me. I love you, Devon Sawa, but like...
Well, don't worry, guys. We are getting to the end here, because 6 months later, we see Alex, Clear, and Carter, and they are arriving in Paris.
Okay, I have so many questions here. Why did Clear decide to go blonde 6 months later?
Maybe because she was like theoretically struck by lightning, and she just thought a lighter look might have been the move.
That's wild. Okay. Also, Alex and Clear are all like definitely a thing now.
Thank God, because she can only call him baby so many times with him not being her boyfriend.
I know. Like, that's yes. And why the fuck would you okay, let's say we're in this situation. Would you ever get on a plane or fly to specifically Paris ever again? Take a boat.
I don't think I would have done it 6 months later. I thought about this scene when I just recently watched it because, Travis Barker didn't fly for like 10 plus years after his like plane accident where it literally killed almost everyone on board besides him and another person. And it took him 10 plus years to just even fly anywhere again, which I feel like I would be the same. I'd be kind of scarred for life.
I would too. I'm going, like, why Paris, you guys? Anyways,
well, they all believe like the danger has passed. Like they look like happy.
They're like at a little cafe. It's a vibe.
It is a vibe. It is a vibe. They've made it. And they're like now friends. They're like a weird throuple, maybe.
Yeah. Ooh, spinoff? Well,
alternate movie?
Yeah.
Sequel?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Alex clearly, though, still has some paranoia. He actually brings a freaking seat map out of his goddamn pocket and starts bringing up the seating chart again.
That's some bad juju.
And we, as the viewer, too, him, too, he's like spotting signs. Like we see a street musician playing fucking, what do you know?
John fucking Denver.
Dude, what the hell? And Alex is talking to the group about death design again. And Carter points out, he's like, what if it comes around again? If it does come around again, he's like, Alex, dude, like you're going to be next.
So even though that they're homies now, Carter is still saying, bro, it's you next, Alex. I'm safe as fuck. I'm the safest one here.
Yeah.
I'm going to live my life in fucking Paris. I'm going to get that. What do you
Paris Punani.
Nice.
That just came right out of my mouth. I don't know.
But as Alex is bringing this up and Carter is being like, love you, but fuck you.
So Alex steps into the street. He's clearly freaked out. And Clear sees a bus in the reflection of the restaurant in just enough time to warn Alex. The bus nearly kills him, but Carter pushes him out of the way.
What I'm gathering is that both Alex and Clear have The Shining.
Oh my God.
You know?
They for sure do. And you know who they could hang out with?
Oh, Halloran?
Halloran. Oh, our man. Oh my God, we love Halloran. Oh, sad. But anyways, Carter is feeling some type of way now that he pushed Alex out of the way. And he's just like, you were next, like da-da-da. Kind of like, I saved you. And then he smugly says, so who's next? And then a neon sign from above swings down. It had like kind of broken off of its base. And just before impact, the screen cuts to black. But we can presume that it killed Carter.
Bye, Carter.
Bye, Carter.
And that's a fiend?
Fiend.
Yeah.
However, you guys, we did want to mention that there is an alternate ending to this film.
Which is pretty wild.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a doozy if you guys haven't seen it. So in this alternate ending, essentially Clear and Alex make love.
On the beach.
On the beach. If you guys remember a little earlier, they were at the beach. And so they make love. They fuck. And after that, Claire takes some pregnancy tests, sees that they are positive. And at the end of the film, in the same situation that happens at her house with all the electrical wires and all of that running loose, instead of Alex surviving that part, he does actually die. He lights on fire. He gets electrocuted, lights on fire. Bye. See you later. Sayonara. And then Clear has his little bébé. She also named the bébé Alexander.
The bébé?
The bébé. And she reunites with Carter at some point at the memorial. And, she's got this bébé. She's with Carter, the whole thing. And they're just like kind of remembering like everything, remembering Alex and whatnot. And a little leaf falls, just like in that scene earlier when she talks about it feeling like autumn, even though it was summer. What does she say? She's all, Alex.
Basically, yeah.
And it's so cheesy.
It's so cheesy, but I also love when leaves fall, but like I prefer the version they went with better.
I agree. And so do a lot of audiences because, fun facts, they tested audiences with this alternative ending and they found that audiences were bored and unhappy with that ending. And they were really upset that Carter ended up living and that Alex died. And this forced New Line to go a completely opposite direction of this original ending that they had lined up. And it almost cost the studio an additional $2 million to reshoot.
What the fuck? Are you serious?
Yeah. And James Wong, he also regarded Carter's death in the new ending, saying that some test audience members actually jumped out of their seats and cheered when Carter died in the new ending that we all see now in the film, which I kind of love.
Well, I guess the ROI is there.
The ROI is there. Alice, what were your final thoughts on this film?
So I love this franchise. I think this is one of my favorite of the series. I think a lot of these things are so ingrained in my brain. Like, should we have been able to watch this as children?
No.
Throughout their franchise, they have several amazing kills. And I agree with Devon Sawa. He said the one that fucked him up the most was the log scene.
I think we can all agree.
Yeah.
Like, that is like such a iconic death in the Final Destination franchise.
Yeah. And that's number 2. And I also think the soundtrack was pretty brilliant.
I didn't pay attention to the soundtrack too much other than John Denver playing on repeat, but now I kind of want to listen to it a little bit more intentionally.
There's a score too. So that's also ingrained in my brain in a creepy way.
What was your favorite scene?
Tony Todd, bitch. Oh. What was yours?
I think that my favorite scene was the freak out on the plane after the premonition. Cause like, I just like remember being so frightened by that and thinking like, as a viewer watching this as a young kid, like I remember thinking like, oh my God, thank God they got a chance to get off the plane. And then when only some of them got off the plane and then the plane still proceeds to like explode, I was like, holy shit. So it's just like always been like a very favorite scene of mine.
You know what I just thought of? Like, if I were Devon Sawa, I would also be sweating during this entire sequence.
100%.
Because I also just sweat on planes in general.
In general, baby.
Yeah.
That little gross air vent is just not enough.
I know. But on the scary scale, what do you think?
I'm going to say I do think it's a little scary.
I do too.
In a different type of way. It doesn't scare me the way that like a movie monster scares me or The Conjuring scares me with some of the supernatural elements. It like scares me that truly these are everyday things that happen in our lives. Like we're recording right now in your garage and there's 80 things I'm looking at right now that could literally all kill me, including the garage door opener that's right above my head. So on that note, I'm going to head out soon, if that's cool with you.
No, I totally agree with you. I think that, I don't really find a lot of things scary, but I think to me this is because it makes you think about death strategy.
Yes. I feel like, and you might agree with me, but I feel like throughout every single Final Destination film, I'm on the edge of my seat the entire time. And I'm also kind of even like guessing where the death is going based on things I'm seeing or clues that are relieved like throughout the film. Because, there's always the little, I like to call them chicken nuggets instead of Easter eggs, but I feel like there's like always little nuggets like being placed everywhere.
100%. And now I want chicken nuggets.
Dude, actually, that sounds so bomb. Well, everyone, that is Final Destination, our first one in the franchise. We are obviously going to do all of them at some point. We are so happy that you came along on this plane ride with us. And you can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Spooky Chicks and Horror Flicks. And if you'd like some bonus content, then please join our Spooky Chicks social club on Patreon. You can always support us by leaving us a 5-star review wherever it is that you listen. But honestly, the best way to support us is just by telling another friend who loves horror. And with that, Allison, would you like to close us out?
If your gut says to get off the plane, get off the fucking plane. Trust the mortician explaining death's plan, and stay spooky fuckers.